ceremony, all the pre-rite rituals in the ceremony is underway inside of the cremation ground. Outside, a lot of people who haven't been able to make it inside are gathered. A lot of people right now are shouting slogans, which in Hindi say Dr. Manmohan Singh Amar Rahe, which means may Dr. Manmohan Singh, may his name remain immortal. Some demands also being made by, I think, what appear to be Congress Party workers and supporters for giving late Dr. Singh a Bharat Ratna award. So a lot of action here came. Although inside a lot of security protocol is being followed with respect to the state honors that are being granted to late former Prime Minister Dr. Singh. As we're aware, a lot of senior leaders from the government and from the Congress Party, from other political parties as well, are present here. A lot of former dignitaries, as I mentioned, Foreign Minister of Mauritius is here, envoy from the United States, from Puerto Rico, from the Netherlands, from the European Union, the representatives in India. They are also present here at the Nigam Board Ghat. So massive presence here came. Traffic has been brought to a standstill at the venue and for miles around it because of the VVIPs who are present here at the main ground. A lot of traffic advisories that were issued early in the morning. We can see them all playing out right now. Internet has been impacted a little bit because of the security protocol that also has to be followed by the authorities here.
Right, Dharamjot. We can see the last rites of the former Indian Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh is taking place at this point of time. If, Dharamjot, you've spoken to anybody on ground, and if you can talk to us about the sentiment that people are holding at this point of time with the party leaders and, of course, the family members of Dr. Manmohan Singh overwhelmed at this point of time as they pay the final tribute, their final goodbye to Dr. Singh.
Well, Raisha, as I mentioned before as well, the fact that Dr. Singh is being remembered for so many of his policies, it only makes it fitting that thousands of people from the middle class and the rural class are present here today to bid farewell. On talking to people, I think the common sentiment, at least that you get from them, is the fact that there is so much. He did so much for the middle class. He did so much for the rural class. Youngsters, they talk a lot about some of his policies, especially with respect to the RTI, that gives a lot of power to common citizens to question those in governance with respect to the certain decisions that have been made by the government and other agencies. So the trickle-down effect that Dr. Singh's policy has had during his prime ministership for 10 years between 2004 and 2014, a lot of people over here do continue to talk about it, given what an impact it has had before and the fact that it continues to have an impact even today. Which is why I said it before and I'd say it again. The middle class, thousands, the youngsters, people from neighboring states who have come in, it is only fitting that they pay their tribute here at Nigam Board Ghat today. I think Dr. Singh has been proven right far before than probably anybody expected when he said that history will be kinder to him than the media or the opposition is. We see that unfolding. We saw it unfold yesterday. We're seeing it unfold even today, right now.
Right, Dharamjot, and as we can see, not just leaders from India, but also from across the world. A short while ago, we saw Bhutan's king, the Mauritius FM, there at the funeral paying their last respects to Dr. Manmohan Singh. I also want to just add here regarding the memorial for the former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. The government earlier in the morning received a request to allocate space for a memorial for Dr. Manmohan Singh, and after which a cabinet meeting was held wherein Amit Shah communicated to Congress President Kharge and the family of late Dr. Manmohan Singh that the government will allocate space for the memorial. Meanwhile, the cremation and other formalities are taking place at this point of time. Talk to us more about the Nigam Board area where the funeral is taking place. It is the oldest in India's national capital, New Delhi.
You're right, Resha. It's one of the oldest and largest cremation grounds here in the national capital. Ideally, it is not the designated cremation ground for dignitaries of Dr. Singh's stature, be it ex-president, ex-prime minister, the vice president. Usually the protocol that has been followed for so many years is that all of these top political leaders usually have their last rites held at the Rashtriya Smriti Sthal, which is near the Rajghat. It's not. It's a short distance from where we are at right now. But I think the fact that the change in venue with respect to the cremation ground, that has unfortunately stirred a lot of unwarranted controversy at a time like this. But again, I think, Raisha, that's a conversation for another time. The focus is irrespective of where the cremation is being held. I think what's important is the number of people, the kind of people, and the demography and where they've come from. That's what really matters at this point. Like I said before, it's only fitting to his stature and to his personality that such tributes pours in from across the world and also from different demographic sections of India.
Radharamjo, Dr. Manmohan Singh was known as a soft-spoken technocrat, but he also made some concrete decisions that shaped billions of lives. While it is still gloomy here in India's national capital, New Delhi, but the weather is holding up at this point of time, allowing people to pay their last respects to the former Indian Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. All right, there seems to be some technical glitch at this point of time with our correspondent. These are live visuals from the Nigam Board's crematorium where the last rites of Dr. Manmohan Singh is being performed in New Delhi. Leaders from all over India have gathered to pay their respect. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Indian President Draupadi Murmu, and also world leaders who have gathered to pay their last respects to India's former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. He had shaped India's economic trajectory. He had made some imminent policies that have had a lasting impact in India, from economic liberalization 1991 to the RTI Act and the historic US deal. The whole world today remembers Dr. Manmohan Singh, and we have our correspondent Dharamjot Kaur back with us. Hi Dharamjot, I was just talking to you about how the weather was playing foul for the past 2-3 days, but it is now holding up and allowing people to pay their last respects to Dr. Manmohan Singh.
You're absolutely right, Rasha. I mean, it has the weather gods have been very, very kind for today. Although it was bad in the morning, 6 a.m. It's a time pass. No rain as of now. Yesterday, in fact, was the weather was very, very harsh and trying to say so. We saw national capital throughout the entire day. In fact, the monthly rainfall, as the IMD said, is at the 5th highest, and very unprecedented weather at this.
Right. We're also being joined by Miss Aditi Fadnis. Welcome back, Ms. Fadnis. Just a short while ago, you were talking about Dr. Manmohan Singh's legacy. I want to talk to you more about his humility and his simplicity. You mentioned that none of his autobiographies or movies that have been made on him chronicles the fact that he had a financial problem when he was studying in Cambridge, and he has never come out and spoken about his humble origins and his beginnings as well.
He was very self-deprecating and didn't really like to talk about himself. But his commitment to creating conditions where India was looked up at, and for instance, during the tsunami, when it hit the coast, the southern coast of India, so many countries offered financial help to India. And he said, no, there was a time when we might have needed it, but now we don't need it anymore, and diverted all the money that was going to come to India to the neighboring countries, including Sri Lanka, which needed it much more. So he understood the pain of loss, of humble beginnings, of the pain of penury. And despite the fact that he had occupied many high offices, including the man who controlled all the money in India, which was the office of the governor of the Reserve Bank, he never lost touch with not with his earthy beginnings and what it was like to live in poverty. He never forgot that. And because of that, he was committed to so many initiatives that India started during his tenure, particularly the Mahatma Gandhi
Right, Ms. Cutters,
Employment Guarantees Program.
I would request you to just wait for a moment because we are getting live visuals of the last final rites of Dr. Manmohan Singh taking place at the Nigam Bodh Ghat.
जिनके जरिए भारत में दरवाजे खुले और उन्हीं दरवाजों से ग्लोबलाइजेशन काल में जिसको हम जानते हैं वैश्वीकरण लाइसेंस राज को बड़ी कंपनियों को तो फायदा हुआ ही नीतियां बनाई, उसके साथ साथ देश को भी बहुत फायदा हुआ, विदेशी निवेश के लिए देश की नींव भी मजबूत हुई और साथ ही साथ उसके साथ और उन्हीं अर्थव्यवस्था भी मजबूत होती हुई नजर आई। जानते हैं वैश्वीकरण तमाम बड़ी कंपनियों को तो फायदा हुआ ही, उसके साथ साथ देश को भी बहुत फायदा हुआ, देश की नींव भी मजबूत हुई और साथ ही साथ उसके साथ अर्थव्यवस्था भी मजबूत होती हुई नजर आई। आरटीआई मनरेगा आर्थिक मंदी से जिस तरह से उन्होंने बचाया और शिक्षा का अधिकार जो बच्चों को दिलाया, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण कदम जो आज भी एक नई इबारत लिखने के लिए लगातार अग्रसर होकर आगे बढ़ते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं। आधुनिक सुधारों का भी एक नया प्रारूप देखने को मिला, एक नया आकार देखने को मिला।
And these are the final rites taking place of Dr. Manmohan Singh. He was accorded full military honors, and now it is taking place with Sikh religious customs as well. We see the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Indian President Draupadi Murmu, the Bhutan's king, and even Mauritius foreign minister. They all have gathered to pay their final tribute, their final goodbye to Dr. Manmohan Singh. A sobering moment indeed, with Sikh priests, family members of former Prime Minister Dr. Singh reciting verses from Gurbani before his last rites.
तो जैसा कि आप देख सकते हैं कि उनके अंतिम संस्कार की जो प्रक्रिया है वो लगभग अब पूरी हो चुकी है। अब से बस कुछ ही देर में पंचतत्वों में उनका ये पार्थिव शरीर विलीन हो जाएगा और वो सदा सदा के लिए अमर हो जाएंगे। और साफ तौर पर जो उनके द्वारा लिए गए निर्णय, नीतिगत फैसले,
And the last rites are taking place of Dr. Manmohan Singh, with Sikh priests, family members of former Prime Minister reciting verses from the Gurbani before his last rites. And these are the live visuals from Nigam Bodh Ghat in New Delhi, where the final rites of Dr. Manmohan Singh is taking place.
भारतीय राजनीति में जिस तरह से इनका योगदान रहा है उस दौर को अगर याद करें तो
And these are the final rites taking place of Dr. Manmohan Singh at the Nigambodh Ghat in New Delhi. We can see the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and the Indian President Draupadi Murmu gathered there. Not just Indian leaders but also leaders from across the world have gathered to pay their homage, to pay their last respects to India's former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. Sikh priests and the family members of the former Prime Minister, they recited verses from Gurbani before his last rites. Dr. Singh was known as a soft-spoken technocrat who changed billions of lives with his policies. He's survived by his wife and 3 children. And Ms. Aditi Phadnis is with us. Thank you so much for being here with us, Ms. Phadnis. The last rites, they're just about to complete of the former Indian Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. Dr. Singh adorned many offices from the RBI Governor to the Prime Minister for 2 terms and also the FM. What, according to you, defined his role and what stood out for you?
Well, for me, the most important contribution made by him was as finance minister. It required new thinking, it required unerring judgment, it required sure-footedness, and of course his forte was economy and finance. So it came to him quite naturally. That did not mean that he did not have problems even during that tenure. The whole Harshad Mehta scam, the Joint Parliamentary Committee, which absolved him of all responsibility in the scam, the lax governance of financial markets, which led to the scam in the first place, all that came ultimately to rest at his door. He offered to resign, and then Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao was inundated with faxes from world leaders saying, "Please don't let him go because he is our bridge to understanding India, changing India at that time." So I think that was a defining moment, at least for me as a reporter covering India and covering the government of India. It was a remarkable era for to have had the privilege of reporting on, and also to have had the privilege of understanding because of Dr. Manmohan Singh. He was a fantastic teacher. If you didn't know something, he would explain to you very gently and go straight to the heart of the matter, very patient and very understanding.
Right, Ms. Phadnis, please stay with us. We also have with us a correspondent, Dharamjot Kaur, joining us live on the show. Dharamjot, the last rites are just about to get over of Dr. Manmohan Singh, with the verses from the Gurbani being recited there. What more can you tell us? What is the sentiment like there at the Nigambodh Ghat at this point of time? All right. There seems to be some technical glitch with the correspondent. Ms. Phadnis, coming back to you, the world today mourns the loss of Dr. Singh, a renowned economist known as a soft-spoken technocrat. And you've also met him quite a number of times during his tenure. If you can just share some anecdotes with us or your experience with him.
Well, I met him once when he was in the opposition, and it was a reception at the Rashtrapati Bhavan for, I think it was 26 January. and we just happened to be standing nearby, and I walked up to him. He knew me, of course. I mean, I had reported on his government, and we chatted, and I asked him about his memories as a person who belonged to Punjab. And he said, well, actually, I belong to Afghanistan. My family came from Afghanistan. They were fruit traders, and then they came and settled in Ga village. And then he told me about his memories of the partition, about his personal losses. His grandfather was killed in front of his eyes. Despite that, I asked him incredulously, "You wanted to have friendly relations with Pakistan, a Pakistan which did so much, which because of which you lost so much." And he just smiled and said, "Well, it was because of India that you cannot have a stable neighborhood unless you have a relationship with Pakistan." So he did not allow emotion to color his judgment, and India always came first. That I will never forget that short conversation I had with him in on a cold day like this one.
Right, and that indeed has had a lasting impression, not just on you, but also amongst the billions of people because of whom he has changed the lives of billions of lives here in India. Talk to us more about some of his policies. What, according to you, were one of the hallmarks of Dr. Singh's prime ministership? Of course, the achievements are various, from the historic US deal to the RTI Act and also the economic liberalization in 1991.
The economic liberalization did change many lives. It some for the better, some for the worse, but ultimately it set in motion a set of forces which would take India into a very different trajectory from where it was stuck before that. Uh, but much more than that, it was, I think, the Indo-US civil nuclear agreement. India was seen as a satellite state of the Soviet Union. He steered India through a change of trajectory, and most of all, it was a shibboleth. It was a kind of a nuclear agreement was a kind of a new direction to India's foreign policy, which allowed us to use domestic uranium for our domestic purposes, but allowed us also access to imported uranium, which was not something that we had access to earlier because of the nuclear tests that we had carried out while not being a signatory to the NPT. So it was a remarkable achievement, and he staked his government on it. I mean, the left front said that it would pull out of his government, which it eventually did. But he said, well, so be it. I mean, I am ready for it. But despite that, I want this nuclear deal to go through for India. It's true that nuclear energy contributes only about 3% to India's overall energy mix. But that was for many other reasons. The nuclear power reactors could not be set up because of land acquisition problems, also because of the liability issues. There were so many things that went into it. But the fact is that a major wall was brought down because of Dr. Manmohan Singh. Most of all, I think what stands out about him is his credibility. He was presiding over a coalition government which had the left front as a partner, and yet he was able to swing the Indo-US nuclear deal, mainly because of his own credibility and his honesty.
Right, Ms. Fadnis, we're just cutting across to the 21-gun salute being given to former Indian PM Dr. Manmohan Singh. was a 21-gun salute being conferred, being given to India's former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. These are the live visuals from Nigambodh Ghat, where the final rites of Dr. Manmohan Singh is taking place at this point of time. Right, Ms. Fadnis, if we're talking about his policies that have perhaps shaped India's future, how would the coming generation and the current generation remember Dr. Manmohan Singh?
A lot of what we hold in our hands, our mobile phones, our access to technology, our access to world markets, the whole technology and the knowledge revolution is in part, the credit must go to him. And we are now vying for H-1B visas. We have become global citizens. Subsequent governments were also responsible for that, but the foundations were laid by Dr. Manmohan Singh. No one must forget that.
Right, Ms. Fadnis, the world today mourns the loss of Dr. Singh, a renowned economist and a world statesperson. A short while ago, we were also talking about his simplicity and his humility, and that is also one of the factors as to which the world remembers him. Talk to us more on that, because a short while ago, you were talking to us about how he endured financial problems during his education at the Cambridge, where he skipped meals and he survived on chocolate bars. And a lot of people, even till today, they don't know that Dr. Manmohan Singh's humble beginnings to the power corridors of India's parliament.
Sure. He was partly responsible for state-owned education in India, and which allowed him to go to countries and places where he might not have been, might not have had access to. He had a very solid ecosystem of teachers who promoted him and recognized his talent. And he himself was a brilliant teacher. I mean, he was a wonderful teacher. Delhi School of Economics, where he taught, and Institute of Economic Growth, where he studied and researched. Many of the people still remember him as their teacher and revere him for that. He could look at a set of data. This was told to me by a Prime Minister's office bureaucrat. He could look at a set of data and instantly point out that there was something wrong with it and it needed to be fixed. So,
Right,
education, I think, came to...
Right, Ms. Fadnis, please stay with us. We are cutting across live to our correspondent, Dharamjot Kaur. Dharamjot, the pyre has been lit, and a short while ago, Dr. Manmohan Singh got the 21-gun salute. What are you gathering from on ground at this point of time?
Well, Raisha, I mean, I think after all the tributes that have poured him, after all the conversations that have happened, we are finally bidding goodbye, at least to the physical form of late former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. The crowd here, however, all the people who've come here to pay tribute, locals, people from outside of Delhi, I think the legacy lives on. It's going to be a very enduring legacy of Dr. Singh that will be talked about for years to come. So definitely, while it is a natural process, right, if we go into the philosophy of it, if it is, for any mortal, it's everyone's time has come to an end. So has tragically Dr. Singh's time with us. But as we speak, his legacy, not just as a Prime Minister or as a Finance Minister, his legacy as someone who had such a vast expanse of knowledge, who's taught so many people. We've heard so many of our guests and analysts who talk about their experience with Dr. Singh on that front of academia as well. So the fact that he's touched so many lives, either by knowing them directly or not knowing them at all or governing them, all of these things are going to form a big, big part of his enduring legacy, Raisha.
Right, Dharamjot. And the pyre has been lit of the former Indian Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. The wreath was laid on him a short while ago, and Dr. Manmohan Singh's last rites was conferred with full military honors. We had leaders from all across the country and the chiefs of the Army, Navy and the Air Force also paying their last tributes, paying their last respect to India's former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who adorned many officers, who adorned many profiles, from the RBI governor to the FM to the Prime Minister for 2 consecutive terms. Ms. Fadnis, if you're still with us, your final thoughts right now as the world pays goodbye, pays its tribute to India's former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh.
Personally mourning the absence or the going of a very decent, principled individual who was a public leader, who was honest and had great integrity. And I'm sure in every corner of India there are people who have a relationship with him who will also be mourning in the similar way.
Right, Ms. Fadnis. And what we've seen in the past 48 hours is something extremely unusual. People from all across the sectors, all across the parties, they have come together and paid their tributes and fondly remembered Dr. Manmohan Singh.
Yes, I think...
right, and thank you so much, Ms. Fadnis, for joining us here on WION and sharing your thoughts, your anecdotes with us.
Thank you.
Right, and the final rites of Dr. Manmohan Singh has been completed. He was given full military honors with 21 gun salutes and a guard of honor. Leaders from all parties got together to pay their final tributes to a man who was known as a man with few words, but a man who had a lasting impact. He had enormous policies that shaped billions of lives in India, from the US historic deal to the economic liberalization. And with that, the world today pays tribute to Dr. Manmohan Singh, India's former Prime Minister. And the world today pays tribute to Dr. Manmohan Singh. He had full military honors on his final day. The day started with the mortal remains being placed at the All India Congress Committee Institute, and from there it came to the Nigam Bodh Ghat, where his pyre was lit. Chiefs of all army staffs were present at his final rites, and also the leaders from all party, from Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the Indian President Draupadi Murmu, and even global leaders who were there at the Ghat to pay tribute to the former Indian Prime Minister. There was also the Bhutanese king there who paid tribute to the Indian former Prime Minister. And there were strict protocols put in place for the last rites to take place today in India's national capital, New Delhi. While the weather did play foul, it did stop for the last few hours for the last rites to take place.